Good morning. Hello. G'day. Good evening. Hope you're well where you listen. Thank you for listening to. This is a medical cannabis show that's going to discuss some medical cannabis stuff. And I hope you respect the law. I try and respect the law, and I hope you should do too. And yes, today's a bit of an open topic, but I've got also some other stuff to share about Australia's progression and how poor it is and how we deeply need education down under, or more so to spread good quality education, because the word getting out is bad and it's just reflecting in the media, as you'll see. I'll show you some. Oh, where's today's ad stage? Is that one? There we go. That's today's stuff. So yeah, poor Australia. So that picture there on the bottom right, that's a picture of a protester getting into the Sydney Opera House and portraying some medical cannabis leaves on the Opera House sales. So it's, yeah, it's so needed. Anyway, I'll show you that. G'day to Lene. How are you? Hope you have an awesome show today. Thank you very much. I hope it goes well too, and I get the point across so it can be spread round. And Shipwreck, how you going, Shipwreck? Nice to see you. Top of the morning to you. You're getting ready to change your seasons, mate. It's got to be, remember, IPM. I'll just give it another 20 seconds or so, and then I'll start sharing the stuff about how poor Australia is, because it'd be good for a few more people to, at least some Australians, to listen, so then they can maybe share it with their people and start some chat. It's Australia's just, I'm not going to comment on that bit. All right, that's long enough, I reckon. There's Aaron Hopkins. Hello, Aaron. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, just in time to hear how I'm going to give it to Australia. Australia is, I'm not going to tell you my opinion, because you don't need to hear swear words, and this show doesn't promote swear words. So, it's not flaming good. I just can't believe it. Anyway, there you go. A few people have clicked on now, so it's all right. I'll start in today's. So it's an open topic too. So please, I hope you've got some questions that you can throw in, because after I give this little spiel about Australia, which is only probably 5 or 10 minutes at the most, I'll be looking for some questions to help you guys and girls out. Present, share screen. All right, allow. There we go. So this is what's going on today. So medical cannabis use hits 1 million high in Australia. You can see at the top left, don't believe the hype. Your GP doesn't think medical cannabis works. It's blimmin' sad. Cannabis hit, big advertisers, yeah. So that's just one of the things to start with. I sort of had a bit of a flow-on effect here. That's now I'll share the newspaper articles. This is terrible. The media and medical cannabis, why we need to get it right. So here it says, the role and the importance of the media reporting about medical cannabis has been debated in Australia since the new wave of legislation in 2014. So that's one little snippet from a recent ad. Here's another one. The TGA flags prescription. The TGA is the Therapeutic Goods Administration in Australia. They're the ones that they approve everything, and they make all the laws and set that sort of stuff. That's a government department. So the Therapeutic Goods Administration flags prescription cannabis risks as pain experts claim lack of medical benefit. So we've got our pain experts, so the doctors, they've gone and said there's a lack of medical benefit, but yet across the planet, there's so many studies saying the opposite. But so you've got to be careful. So it's only a few pain people. So there's only, remember in Canberra, there was 2 pain specialists, 2, something like that. And sometimes they had to fly in. So there's so lack of them in Australia, and they're putting their hands up, and they're the ones that are, I'm going to comment about them. And I'm just going to read what this is. You know what I think. This is bloody. So the Netherlands, they're going to launch cannabis legalization at the end of the year, like everywhere else on the planet. But no, Australia's going backwards. They're putting all this stuff in the news that's going to really try and debate the needs and the qualities of it, etc. And this is another one. So update: the House of Democrats introduced a bill to federally legalize cannabis. So that's federally legalized in the US of A. But what is Australia doing? We're going backwards. And also, this is how medically recognized it is, and it's going to be in for so long. The US department in the US of A, they're going to begin issuing pardons under the Biden order. So people who've been busted with some cannabis, they're going to go and just scrap that bust because it's so medically blimmin' important. And then you go and Google up here, Medical Cannabis Australia, and it comes up. There's quite a few things here and just conflicting things. This person says they'd be dead without it. We all know that. How do you ensure a medical cannabis facility? Yep. So what's the point in it? Sydney Morning Herald, over-the-counter weed to help with sleep. Still a dream as clinical trials fail. This is in Australia. This is just Western Australia medical cannabis regulations to be reviewed amid call for immediate action. So all these new things are coming out and they're all just going to flip. Global medicinal cannabis launches in next phase. Yeah, this is a medicine. The Australians prescribed cannabis but left fighting to keep their jobs. Okay. So all these things, and then there's another thing down here about driving. GP considerations when prescribing medical cannabis. Do you know the thing? My GP in Canberra did 4-hour course and he's qualified to prescribe it. What the hell do you learn in 4 hours? I don't mean to be rude. They're trying, it's a good start, but dead set. 4 hours teaches you jack. It's blimmin'. It's so annoying to have studied this for so many decades and for them to do a 4-hour course and then for them to say it doesn't work. But yet all these studies that I show every single week, they go and prove the opposite. So down here here's another little funny little slide. So cannabis is safer than ketchup. The American Journal of Medicine published that cannabis helps control blood sugar pressure. Sorry, I'm so worked up about poor Australians. That it helps prevent diabetes and obesity. So cannabis can also help prevent, so for this study, high fructose corn syrup can increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, which is one of the most common causes of disease in the world today. So they keep going on about how medical cannabis is bad, but there's so many other things around us that are just as bad, but yet they don't want to implement it. And do you know why? The reason is it's because of big pharma in Australia. They pay too many people off. I'm going to say it. I don't give a stuff. I'm not going to say names, but they are in the back pockets and contribute to too many politicians and other people, so this plant doesn't get let in. Here's an Australian pharmacist survey done a few months ago. So it's a cross-sectional survey exploring the knowledge, experiences and attitudes of Australian pharmacists towards medical cannabis. And there was 200 odd did it. 60% have prescribed it, medical cannabis, and only 50% felt comfortable doing so because of their education. They don't know what they're doing. They see all these bad snippets to say it's bad, but yet they don't have the education to make up their own decision. Pharmacists showed patchy knowledge around cannabis and CBD, says down the bottom. Felt that they require further training and around the supply of it. Pharmacists believes over-the-counter CBD is a positive step. What's the next one? Here's the last slide. If we need science to legalize cannabis, can we please see the science that was used to make it illegal in the first place? That's it for today. Clean up your act, Australia. Australians are needing your help. Yeah. Sorry for getting worked up, but hey, it's Dave. G'day, Dave. Ned Kelly. Oh, I've got to go up a bit. How you going? How you going? Nice to see you. G'day, Dave's well medicated. That's the way. Hey, Aaron. What's Aaron saying? They are listening to some professionals with 4 hours experience. Yeah. Yep. The GPs do a 4-hour course, and that makes them qualified to prescribe cannabis, medical cannabis in Australia. And they're the ones that are going and saying this. So from their 4 hours worth of experience, they can go and cause all this havoc in the news, which therefore politicians listen to that. Therefore, they can other less educated folk than the GPs, which is the newspaper people, they can just go and write headlines. Bang. It's sad. It's just from living in Canada for 5 years and just understanding how well it works, and then all of these different types of studies that I show each week also, fair income. Like, it's sad how money rules everything, how they're getting paid, and Big Pharma with all the pharmaceuticals is getting paid just to outstrip everything. Lene says, yep, studies are already being done, proved medical cannabis and all various cannabinoids and terpenes and the benefits. It's so sad. Yes. Well said. Thank you for your nice words. What's Aaron say? I have put my hand up with my doctor about any cannabis, any medical test of questions, and they just laughed at me. Isn't it ridiculous? A few years ago, I was in that, because I've got permanent disabilities in my hands. I was in the pain clinic with the pain specialists, and we were talking about, I said to them, they used to prescribe it back then. And I said, do you know the difference between sativa and indica? They said, no. And I said, well, if you were to prescribe me any sativa type of a product, my heart will race, I'll be angst out, and I'll feel uncomfortable, and it'll feel like it's not working for me. And they just, wow, really? Tell us more. And they went and grabbed another one of their pain specialists and come in, and I was a bit pissed off, to be honest. I wasn't happy, like as if I was like, when you folk are interested. I was pissed off because I'm thinking, these people prescribe it and they don't even know that difference. So it's just sad. It's just really bloody sad that there's nothing we can do about it. There's a few people in Australia trying. The legalised cannabis party are trying. I fully support them. But again, it's only in 3 states that they're starting to make headway, because in the other states they're not voted in, so they haven't got enough power. Again, I'm back on politics. It's just sad about this rad plant that we have, that we all should have access to it, and not just the folk that can afford it. Most of us can't afford it, who use it, and they're the ones that need it more. And no, we can't get it. We're just going to end up in the court system and all that sort of stuff, and they look upon us as criminals for trying to use it and have it on our possession. I think it's despicable. Shame on you, Australian law. Come on, persons, change my thought pattern, please. I don't want to, it's creating energy I don't like. Yes. Yes. Sad times from the physicians, and they're not interested in learning. There's a few GPs that are, and they're the ones that are good, but most of them, the ones that aren't, they've still got their GP ticket. They've done their 7-year course, and they're allowed to speak under their GP, their doctorate. So it's sad that it's not a doctorate, sorry, under their doctor's heading. So it's just sad that we're just going to get nowhere, and it's going to take all this hard work that everybody's done is going to be unturned within a matter of no time from these fools. So it's, yeah, anybody who's in Australia and they have any folk that are trying to get any information, I'm more than welcome to more than happy to help them, like on a live show or something like that. So if you know of anybody who's not a, I don't want to say it, but if you know any good people who promote medical cannabis, that's it, not promote street cannabis. I promote medical cannabis. So if there's a humongous difference. There's all sorts of pain, cannabis hydrosis syndrome. There's head hits that you don't want, throat hits. It's long-term carcinogenic effects. There's all sorts of bad things from street cannabis. So I only support medical cannabis, which is strictly grown in different conditions with different genetics and conditions that will bring out the best in its genetics. So it's, yeah, so if there's anyone out there that's, I'll gladly help and put in show some slides on their show and help them, or even if it's just a live thing, just to chat, I'll even just give my input that I can, because we really need some help in Australia, and I have some good education where I feel it could be shared if there's more than 100 people that view the show. So I don't know how to get it out there anymore. I've been doing this for a few years now, and it hasn't really been helping Australia. So if there's any suggestions, please get onto me and onto my community on page, and you can post some stuff there and give me some messages there, and also in these live chats. I'm more than happy to help, because this medical cannabis, it bloody works. From living in, you know, I used to sell to the dispensaries working under the ACNPR program in Canada legally, and I'd ask the oldies there, people over 80, why are you here? And they come back and say, we can take all of this fistful of, I'll pull up that slide because it's pretty, we can take all this fistful of colourful tablets, or we can take some oil or extract, because they weren't into the smoking too much because they had lung conditions, or they just weren't into smoking. So I found a lot of them that I'd speak to, and they just found, yeah, it just works so much. We can get rid of all of this. And I think this is what we're debating against. It's not about if this product works, because we know it and studies show it works, but I think it's about big pharma, who has so much power and money and provides so much kickbacks to different people in the management sectors, that's what we're fighting. So it's overruled in the States, in Canada. It's terrific over there. Medical cannabis is federally legal in Canada and Mexico. Now it's going to be in the USA. But Australia, I think we're still battling the big pharma. These people are still paying too much to those politicians. One of them's, actually, I'm not going to say and starting there. It's terrible. It's just bloody. What's Ned Kelly say? A tiny bit of knowledge sometimes is very dangerous. Yeah, well, that's right. The GPs, they get to do a 4-hour course, and now they know it all. And that's what I said to my GP. I said, oh, really? I said, wow, you did a 4-hour course. Wow, you must know it all. He goes, yeah. And he says that laugh. And I was thinking to myself, my God, I was being so sarcastic in saying that. What's Aaron say? They want a long-term study, which they're doing on 15 to 17-year-olds. Only a couple of years ago, they gave these teenagers weed for a year to conduct a long-term study. Okay, yeah. See, their studies are jokes. And it's a shame that the the Australians, doctors and the powers that be, they won't listen to international studies. Really, truly, they won't. They just like as if they're biased. It's called science. They're all done under the scientific basis with controls and double blinds and all sorts. It gets me, because it bloody helps me so much. Medical cannabis, if I didn't have it, I'd be a friggin' nightmare and a wreck. I'd be in jail multiple times from this and that. But it works so well. Not just with the oldies, like I explained before, with me as well, and many other people who don't get that option in Australia because of this bad, negative feedback that's been put out there. I say, yes. What's Dave say? I cannot afford it either, so I'm still waiting for them to legalise it so we can grow our own, so I don't feel like a criminal when I grow. See, well said, mate. Isn't it disgusting? Yep. I lived in Queensland for a while, then I moved to the ACT. And down here, it's heaps better, because I'm not, like you said, I'm not a bloody criminal. When it's the difference in Queensland, bang, cops call for backup, blah. It's down, it's just a lot different. And I was speaking to actually a copper in the ACT, and he said that he is very happy that it's legalized because he smokes it recreationally. This is a copper in a uniform told me this. And then his partner says, yeah, it's great. We don't have to write up tickets all the time now. And I'm just thinking, wow, I can't believe I just heard that. Can I film this? It was so cool because everyone knows that. It's just the few powers that be, like the few pain specialists that there are. There's only a handful in Australia, probably under 20. And if they get together, if they've had some sort of family problem or medical cannabis problem, or sorry, street cannabis issue, where something's gone wrong from a relative or a story, bang, they're against it. They're biased. And a lot of doctors are biased because they're uneducated in the area and they're not taught on herbal medicine. They're taught on pharmaceuticals and the human body. So that's massively different. They're not taught about the endocannabinoid system, the 6 body sense that Harvard Medical calls it. They're only taught about the 5 human body systems. It's so sad. And this is what is the legislation's been written upon. This is sort of education that we've got here. So again, if there's anybody that knows anybody that's good, I'll be more than happy to help them somehow, giving some feedback and some slides to portray the right word and get the right sort of, not respect, the right sort of attitudes put across to the masses in Australia, not just the people that know it, like the folk listening now, to all you cool folk listening. We all know it. We believe it because we've had experience that tells us it works. And then we've heard from others as well, the positive and the very little negative effects. Like how many negative stories can you bring up from medical or from cannabis over the decades you've been into it? It's so little, it's not funny. And it's really got nothing to do with, it's more so making money off it than it is then health-wise. So the health negative effects is so blimmin' little. That was a study that from the Cannabis Training University that I did that a few years ago, 2019, and the study in that from it was the Californian University when they tested people's lungs, and they did it over a 12-month period, and they tested their lung capacities of cannabis users, and they found it increased it. And I thought, wow, you know, all these things, that's from it, putting it through your lungs, which is supposed to be not good. So there's all these medical benefits of it. And actually one of my, I don't have to go on to you about actually the medical benefits. How do we get this word across to Australia and the powers that be? Can you help me? Let's all help each other in the long run. Because I've really tried here. I've tried to do a lot of good things for Australia and help in the right sense. And it's, you know, I know I'm only little in the sense of the big fish, but if we got heaps of these little people doing it, it would, you know, it's like ants. The majority of ants, they get tasks done quite well. But if you only put a few of them there, they're going to struggle. That's a good analogy. But yeah, maybe I'm starting to rant a bit now. But yeah, I want to help others. I want to help Australia. I want to help Australians with medical cannabis. I want to get the attitudes across that a street cannabis is so much different to medical cannabis, even if it is grown by the street person. They can grow it in medicinal ways that brings the quality up. And once you have the primo quality, you'll understand that flushing is a thing, and letting the plant finish out, well, you mightn't have to flush it, but you've got to let the plant finish to release all of its unwanted properties so that you do get the medicinal effects. It's probably a better way to put it, because there's a few different ways that you can flush. What? Oh, wow, I've got this playing on another screen and it just popped up an ad. Okay, that's interesting. I do put monitorization on, but this doesn't usually get monitorized because of the monitorizing doesn't happen because it's a medical cannabis thing, and that's YouTube doesn't like it. Put some comments. So Ned Kelly says the Canna doctors here are so uneducated. Oh, mate, once they do that 4-hour course, they'll be right up on top. They'll know just as much or equally, you know, as we do. It's amazing that 4-hour course. What they must have some good information in that. Facetious. What's Aaron say? They don't want to hear what people like myself and many others have to say. You're dead right. They couldn't care less. They've got a job. They're doing their job, and they're making people happy. They're getting their relief, and it's all good for them because they're getting results. They couldn't be interested in this new herbal medicine. They're not Chinese doctors. They're not naturopaths. So why should they be interested in this new thing that's going to take prescriptions away from them? It's going to take all their kickbacks away. It's probably all this sort of thing. I'm with you, Dave. Yes. Well said, Dave. It's right. Dave said that. Can't afford it. It's too expensive. And then you go and get the cheap stuff. Like same with me. I can't really afford it either, but I've got to use it from time to time. And the stuff that I get is this cheap stuff that hurts my throat. And the reason being, it's because it's so dry. It's that all the terpene and flavonoids is gone. Therefore, it's just too dry and it hurts my throat. So I try and rehydrate. We put it back in that Bovita 62s, try and get it back up a bit. And it's just no good. It's just a real shame. So the medical cannabis program's got so much to learn in Australia. We get all the scraps from overseas, and then it sits in quarantine for so long that it expires. That's what we've got to deal with. And they say, yeah, that's your medicine. Oh, really? Why is there expiry dates? Oh, we can't help it. Customs have got to go over it. They've got to put a stamp on it. Well, again, Australia's just second rate to this rot. I just copped a ad too. Oh, yeah. Just got it, skipped it. Oh, yeah. Oh, skipped it also. Been telling you a couple of ads per episode. Yes, you have. And now I've finally got it on my tablet and I saw it pop up. And I thought that was pretty interesting. At what time frame was it too, I wonder? Good to know. 27 minutes. So every 20 minutes or so it has an ad. Wow. Oh, thank you for the people that, that's for the folk that might just listen, maybe. And they can get an ad playing and maybe I get the money from that, which I don't get money from it. Oh, well. Oops. Phone. But yeah, 2 ads per episode these past few weeks. Oh, okay. Oh, hopefully my monetization might go up a few cents. Wow, it might start and register now. That's the go. Wow, all this effort I put in might finally get rewarded. One day. Well, one day, yes, it will. I'm hoping to do these episodes and shows to inevitably help other people get educated so they can get up on par with medical cannabis and how effective it is. Also, I'd like to earn something off it. So, because I want to support the law, as I hope you support the law. So hopefully someone will recognize this show and we can chat, and maybe I can do some external contracting or something like that. Or, I don't know, some sort of teaching thing maybe. I don't know, something. But that's all I hope for an outcome for me. So that's why I don't earn anything off it, and I still keep doing these shows because it's my passion. I do love medical cannabis. I'm not just in it for the money. I am in it for the medicinal properties, where 99% of people are in it for the money. So that's why they can be heavily biased different ways. Where me, I just know it works, and that's me. And yeah, hopefully I will earn some money out of it one day. Yes. And I like nice feedback too, like from Ned Kelly. We appreciate your effort, mate. Thank you. I do get some nice feedback, and I do appreciate it from those folk because I know it does. It does help some people, because the 100-odd folk that do, click on it or watch it each week, it's they will hopefully share that knowledge with other people, and hopefully it'll get accepted, and we can all be happy. We can all have a better community. That's what it's about. Getting rid of the street mentality of all of the yahoos sitting at home. Like here's a slide. Did I show that one? Oh, I didn't. Look at this slide. This is the street mentality. This is what I think most of people in Ausland. Am I sharing? No. All right, I'll pull up this slide first because this has got all next week's stuff on it. I think I was going to show it next week. There it is. Yeah, I was. All right, back to this one so I can share. Allow. Now, see, this is what Australia's attitude is. What society says I'll do after smoking medical or even just cannabis. This is what Australia thinks. So the top left, they're all just bad. I'm not going to name them up the top. You can see what they are. They're really bad. And down the bottom is actually what I do and what most people do after smoking cannabis. They get outside. This shows mowing the lawn. Next one shows walking with their dog. And the next one shows that they're sitting in the park just being at will, at being at peace and just enjoying the relaxedness. So there's a big stigma around it in Australia that says it's bad and that everything's going to go downhill. Because it's been such a illegal thing for so long, people have had to do illegal activities to support that. So that's what the news portrays. News never used to say, oh, it helps all this person. News only ever used to say they're busting this person for doing that. So that's why it's so, so bad in Australia. It really sucks. From living in Canada for 5 years, it was just normal. And people would talk about it. It's normal down the shops. It's just bloody normal. And there's no side effects, very little. The only side effects that I used to see is when you don't have it, you get a bit upset, a bit maybe anxious. Well, I do. And I don't feel so good. My pain increases. So I have to go and take the pharmaceuticals like they want me to take, the painkillers. My hands just hurt so blooming much. It's really, really hard to say. So I hope Australia can get their acting together. In order so they can allow more education for the positive word to come out. There's too many negative people putting out the negative words that are giving 11 people now. I'm just going to run while I'm just throwing through this bad thing on Australia. It looks like the whole thing, there's been no really medical cannabis questions today. It's just been all on Australia, on why it's bad. Medical cannabis. TGA flags prescription cannabis risks as pain experts claim lack of medical benefit. So this is why we're going downhill and all of the good work is getting turned upside down. Good luck, Australia. The big pharma's going to win. People keep popping their tablets. They'll keep stuffing up their livers. Yeah, nothing to do with liver in cannabis. Even if you ingest it, it doesn't must mess with your liver. It actually, there's a study done not long ago on the liver, on how it helps with the liver. This is opposite to the liver. It binds it up. That's just one example on how the governments, because big pharma have all the money, that's where it's going. Oh, politicians, you want a good holiday? You want anyway, I'm not going to go on about that side of it. It creates too much controversy. The fact is, it's shit in Australia, and I want it to be better. And I don't know how to help. But if you know anybody that wants some assistance, I'll help. And hopefully it can lead to something. We can all get the good word out there that this good medicine can be utilised if grown properly and dried and cured, etc. properly. It can all be worked well. What's Aaron say? Lots of people that have no idea about the effects of cannabis believe that you will see a big mob of orange elephants jump out of a tree and make you drive off a cliff. Yes, they've still got the 19th century or 20th century approach of it's similar to narcotics. That all these, since it was legalized in California back in the 90s, it's just studies have been been run by universities since then, and things have changed, and that's why it's getting legal throughout the planet. But we're fighting big pharma, so that's what it comes back to, because the GPs, they're going, oh, this medical cannabis, what about you got cannabis hydrosis syndrome? There was that study. Anyway, I'm not going to go through that. They're going to go on and say all this sort of stuff that's, you've got all these bad things. Yeah, because it's street weed, mate. If you get some good proper terpene profiles mixed and blended with the cannabinoid profiles, you're going to get some good medicinal relief. Oh, but how do we can't get that shit in Australia? Exactly right. You can't get that shit in Australia because you only get shit. You don't get good medicinal quality weed unless you want to nearly be a criminal or move to the AC like I had to do. Holy mackerel. What a negative feeling episode this has been. I'm sorry, people, for putting out my, if I'm coming across too negative, but Australian law has led to that with this magical, wonderful medicinal plant. Aaron says, yeah, it's not acid. That's right. They all think it's just going to do obscure things that narcotics and real bad things do. Ned Kelly says, why we grow Mendo Dope 2000. So hopefully the law will get changed soon and it will benefit everybody. Like the legalised cannabis party in Australia, how they're trying to do it in Western Australia, Victoria and Tasmania, Western Australia, Victoria and New South Wales. They're partying for 6 plants in flower to be grown and a compassion club where we can hand it out to others. So if someone like Dave struggling this month and he has to go and pay his car registration and his taxes and all of his land, other things that the government require, we can go and give a little bit extra across to someone in need. That is just brilliant. But again, who misses out? Only big pharma and possibly the taxation system. So again, it comes back to money. But the legalised cannabis party in Australia, at least they've proposed those bills and they're trying to get them passed. So once more members, we can get more members voted for them, they'll have more majority in the government and bang, they'll be able to pass these things themselves. So it's, yeah, at least we've got someone in Parliament trying now, where sort of this time last decade, we had nobody. It was the Greens and they were doing nothing. So at least it's somehow going all right. Brian, keep up the good work. Right out. What else can I talk about? Has anybody else got any suggestions for me? They want to hear my words for? Looking at the cool on the front, on the cover, see the thing you're looking at the bottom left is the nice looking quality grown medicinal cannabis. If you grow it and bring out its genetic potential by different techniques, various techniques that I promote, you'll end up with those on the left. On the next one in is the old school, that's probably 1950s photo, and it was grown in the Pakistan mountains, and they have different techniques again. It's more so for their post-harvest techniques that let down the medicinal qualities. This fella, he's just a happy bloke in the mountains. Look at him. I love that photo. I think it's rad. He's so happy. And on the right is Australia, trying to get it passed, trying to get some sort of legislation about how it works. What's Ned Kelly say? It's a song. Sum up positions. Australia. Oh, okay. That what you said previously is a song. Okay, cool, mate. No worries. Aaron says, yes, the cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, I believe, is definitely caused from chemicals in the growing process from not varying compassionate growers. That's funny. You actually, I'll bring up the slide. It's funny you bring that up because I voted in. Oh shit! I'm already slowing the slide. They're all next week's. This one. Here is the talking about the cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. So what causes it? So as a survey of cannabis industry insiders says, nearly half believe that the syndrome is related to overconsumption. Still think that it's from, many think that it's from pesticides and contaminants. And there's increasing interest in the genetic predispositions. So I voted for, I think I voted pesticides, but I really think it's to do with the other chemicals that's been put into it, like the PGRs and bad practices, and really loading up your plant so they feed like to day 50, then day 55, they'll still feed. So I'll still pump it into it. So you're getting all these other chemicals, and they could be, they're PGRs. And those, it's most of the stuff that we score is from the illegal market, and that's grown on large scale, so that they do only practices to have a yield only. They couldn't care less about anything else. Honest, it's just a yield, because that's to do with money. So there's all these other ways that they practice, they get outcome for it. So they load them up right to the end, and quite a few use PGR, especially quite a few use PGRs, which has cancer-causing agents in that, which is illegal banned in the USA, but yet it's still able to be had in Australian cannabis. So yeah, I think it's a mixture between, it's the chemicals. It's definitely not overconsumption, because if you smoke, you can smoke as much as you want. You're just going to go to sleep. And genetics, it could be genetics, because you could have these mutant genetic bad things in Australia that's just putting out the bad secondary metabolite profiles that aren't healthy for humans. So that could be a possibility. But I really think the majority of it is from unsafe practices growing it. It's cool you brought that up, Aaron. Thank you. Aaron says, I haven't ever had CHS, and I have not had too much hydro either. Oh yeah, I had a friend in I'm not going to say where he is, but he over there, his doctor said he had hydrosis syndrome, and he just laughed. He said what a load of shit it was. He sourced his medical cannabis from a good medical grown place too. So I don't want to go into the topic too much, but anyway, it's interesting that doctors can just jump onto straight away to CHS with their 4 hours worth of training. Yeah. So today it was just a big bad thing on Australia, and how we need more education down here. But it's not, we more so need more education to get out there, because the word is so lapsed and poor that even medical journalists are writing the incorrect thing and believing it to be the truth. That's the worst bit about it. So they're just following up on GPs. Yeah, GP is supposed to be knowledgeable, but they've got nothing to do. They're not trained one single bit with herbs. Not one single bit. That's why they won't ever talk about it. So it's so sad that that's the route we're going at. If anything, the legal people, or sorry, the newspapers or the parliamentarians should be going to herbologists or the what are those other people, naturopaths, and those types of folk who get trained in herbs and getting their opinion, but yet they're getting an opinion from a doctor that's trained in bloody pharmaceuticals and has nothing to do, doesn't even believe in an endocannabinoid system that is in existence in the human body. Yeah, ask your doctor about that, about how much he knows or she knows about the endocannabinoid system, or do they believe in it? And then that'll be nearly a good, if they don't believe in it, you know that your doctor opposes medical cannabis. How sad. And I bet you quite a lot of them would just say, no, it's a load of shit. No, it's something to do with all these pot smokers that want to get it all passed somehow, even though Harvard Medical has put out you go to their edX online website. That's where I did a few courses there of their medical cannabis stuff. So you can go there and do it. So even they're putting out the literature, but Australian doctors have no interest. It's too old school. They'd be the one. Anyway, I'm not going to say that. Aaron says, outdoor, organic, sun-grown, just the way Mother Nature intended it. Yes, exactly right. That's the way that I like to promote too, organics, because otherwise you don't know what's really happening. Yeah, that's going on about it. Today's really about the health side of it. And I have actually I can show you. Actually, this is probably a good, all right. Check this out. I'm going to show you all of the things, because I don't like talking about the health side of it because it's sort of a bit boring. I'm more into the production and the cells, genetics, and manipulation of microbes. That's the areas I like. But actually, I'm going to have to get up the screen first. I've got a full section prepared. There it is. I'll show you two sections actually. Genetics, no. Here, I keep putting this off. All of these are different studies related to Canna Health. See, I was going to name it Canna Health, ECS. I've got 700 plus medical cannabis studies in different things here. And it goes on to just Alzheimer's, all these different diseases that they've done that they've found it to be beneficial, medical cannabis, from overseas studies with multiple people over multiple decades, not just synthetic, not just synthetic cannabinoids, like the government, like that's how they're going to make their money off. Pathetic. So yeah, that's one example and there's quite a few studies in there, like I've already said. And what was the other one? That's right, this one. Look at this, endocannabinoid system. Look at all these different studies down here, and it shows different receptors, how it works with the human body. This is the endocannabinoid section. Endometriosis, yep, just so many pain receptors, how it works, which ones it turns on, which receptors it turns on, how it works with the inside of our bodies. I'm not going to go through all them. I don't think you want me to go through them. Let me know if you do. But so many things. Am I sharing? Yep, stop sharing. So there's so many different ways that medical cannabis can work with us, and it's a shame Australia is not allowing its progression. And from what we see today, it's actually starting to go backwards. All this talk now is going to be, because they like negative talk about it, so Channel 7 and all those 9 and all those sort of things, they're going to put all these things on. It's bad. GPs, pain, people say it's bad for you, all this sort of stuff. And thousands of people are going to see those snippets, not my show. 100 people see this show at the most. So all those people watching it, they're just going to go, oh, wow, well, the GP said it's bad. It must be bad, because they're uneducated as well, and they shouldn't. It shouldn't be up to them to make a decision because they're trusting their doctor. I'm really going on about it too much here. I'd like to show some of all those health slides, but I don't think, oh, here we go. I don't think they're going to be beneficial. Beneficial? I don't think it's going to help this show at the moment, because it's more so on today is just on the, why isn't it going up? Oh yeah, there it is. I can see it on the other page. Yeah, so there's just 10 health benefits we can put up. What does Aaron say? Do you think RSO or Rick Simpson oil will help with BCC skin cancer? When I asked my doctor, he laughed. See, for that doctor to laugh, that's very rude, because he's never heard of Rick Simpson oil. What your doctor has heard of cannabis, and he thinks, cannabis, go back to the street, you junkie. But to someone who has education like myself in this area, I'd think myself, yes. I have 2 people that I've spoken to that have successfully, the cancer cells with medical cannabis, with the mixture of, it's more so the cannabinoids, the THC and the CBD mixed together, they are the RSO. And it's those 2 put together that can halt cancer cells from dividing. And it can actually make them go into apoptosis, which is where cell death is. So it's, yes, is the answer, mate. To pull up a study on that, skin cancer study. I've got some. But the answer is yes, mate. He wants some proof here. He's just not going to go, yes, it works. All right. How about, what is it, skin cancer? I'm going to just have a quick squiz here for you and see what I can get for the cancer ones, how it, receptors, what it does in cancer. Seizures and epilepsy. Yep, I've got epilepsy too. Cannabinoids. What was the cancer cells? Yeah, where's the one where I've got a few of them because I remember talking a while back on cancer. Maybe there's a show that's titled it, and I can bring up those. EC. Oh, there it is. There's a cancer one there. I'll share screen. I'll leave that up because that's the question at the moment. Allow cancer. What's this say? Cancer. Accompanied by the increase of the CB1 receptors. Phytocannabinoids demonstrate the potential to treat cancer in high doses without harming normal cells. Cancer arises due to a loss of ability of malignant cells to undergo apoptosis or cell death. CBD, endocannabinoids, endo and phytocannabinoids have the ability to reverse or prevent many of these effects. Properly constituted cannabinoid treatment may hold the promise to additional side benefits. We'll just go through a few more just in case we've got some more in here. No. Cancer cells. Mechanisms of action. No, these are all the pathways. Yeah, we want what it actually does with the cancer cells, though, when it interacts. That's what I'm after. Cannabinoid receptors, yeah, they work really good. Yeah, look at that one. Exploring the muscle connection. No, nearly. Pain, oh, we're getting close. Combats pain. Look at that rad receptor. I love that chart. It just shows all the different endocannabinoids that interact. Sorry, the different cannabinoids that interact with the receptors in the body and their pathways. So how can they say it doesn't flame and work? Look at this. They're just so biased. You know. Oh, here we go. No. Endometriosis. Works with stomach. Ah, see, the liver. Remember I was saying before about the liver? It protects against liver disease when you activate the CB2 receptor. Wowie, eh? But you go and have those drugs that they want you to have, and it does the opposite. But cannabis doesn't do that, does it? They don't mention those sort of things, do they? It's flaming, everything's. Cancer cells, come on. No, none here. Stop sharing. I'll have to look in another spot. Aaron said something else. So other than make it myself, do you know where I can obtain some strong RSO oil from? Because it's apparently nothing available here. They do have it. Yeah, actually. It doesn't have to be all that strong. You just don't dilute it, because for all the folk, most of the people here are in North America, in Canada and the USA. So I can speak for them, where I used to live over there. And I used to make it. And when you make it, it comes out very heavily concentrated, in the sense that the equivalent concentrations in Australia would be maybe 100-to-1 dilution rate. So that's what they mean with strong. They just mean don't dilute it. Don't get it down to your 50 or 100 micrograms. Get it, it's milligrams. Get it down to your, you want to take it at about sort of 200 or 300, which is about the range that where you'd make it, it would come out at. So how do you get it? You would get some medical cannabis in Australia. Stuff it. You put it in a slow cooker, your medical cannabis, you cover it with oil, as low oil as you can. Chop it up first, chop it up, and then put it in a slow cooker on low overnight, and then tip it back through a pillowcase. back into the container. You should, if you put in a litre to start, you should get 500 mils at the end, and that's a good extraction. And that will get you, if you use your medical cannabis, like I was in the high 20s, so that's about 28% THC at least. Mine will come out at usually at around 250 at least milligrams per gram. So all those folk overseas and folks in the, yes, it works really well. Yes, and for those folk that want to put it on top of the skin, so after you've got your RSO, you'd have it, I do it with extra virgin olive oil, but you might want to put a different carrier. As an example, the trichomes bind to fat cells. So anything with fat, it sticks to. So if you put butter in, it'll stick to it. And if you put other stuff, oil in it, it'll stick to the oil, as an example. So if you've got your favorite topical that you might want to use, maybe extra virgin olive oil, that's what I use. That's fine topical. You could just do it out of that and put it on that every day. I'd put it in the region where your skin can't, say if you got it on your right bicep, I'd put it on my right bicep once a day, or maybe after my shower, or depends how well it absorbs into your skin, because it should absorb quite quickly. But if it doesn't absorb fast, you might want to make it at a time of day when you can sort of deal with it. But yeah, I do it once a day for the next 4 to 6 months, or at least say 4 months. And then I'd go to the doctor and I'd say, I want a skin test again. Or I'd wait till 6 months actually, because it's got to get into your system, then it's got to take effect and start and reduce the cells. And at least once you start using it, from the studies that I've seen, it should halt and it won't divide the cells. So those cancer ones that are already problematic, it won't continue to divide them. It will at least halt them. And if it's not going to kill them, it'll at least stop them from progressing. Because the two people that I know in Canada, they've both said that there's 2 times, the times that they've gone without having the oil is the times when the cells have started to divide again. But once they're on the oil and once they can get it, it's halted. It virtually just halts it. And I've heard that from 2 different people. So I can just pass on from their experiences, really. And it sounds like a pretty good thing. And if I had cancer, that's what I'd be definitely doing. That's for sure. Yeah. So I hope that works. To those folk who might need it out there, get the benefits from medical cannabis in all sorts of areas. And this is the reason also why the big pharma is scared, because all of these people that make all these products now, they don't really work. Medical cannabis bloomin' works. It just does. And it works so well, they have to dilute it. That's why the oils that you see, they're diluted down to 50 milligrams, 20 milligrams, an insanely low amount. That they've got to do it that because of the folk that haven't got tolerances, you know, for the people that don't use it, or eyes open till eyes closed users like myself. So they've got to start low. And a friend did a test on his relatives, and he found that his elderly relatives were getting affected all 5 and 10 milligrams because they've never used it. They're not used to it in their bodies. So it's, yeah. But for those folk who do need strong RSO, that's about the only way you might be able to get it. What's Dave say? Dave, I use MTC liquid. Yes, that's a good carrier, that liquid. What's it called again? MTC. It's got a low smoke boiling rate though, or something like that. I remember you can't get it too hot, but it's one of the good carriers where you can actually I think you can put that into a cart, MTC oil. MCT oil. That sounds better. MCT oil, yes. Thanks for your correction, Dave. You get me saying the wrong thing. MCT. Mass concentrated. I can't remember. But yeah, the MCT oil is very healthy as well. Hey, there's another cool fella. You've been missing. Oh, you might have heard it all, mate. Just talking about the benefits in medical cannabis, how Australia's going backwards now, believe it or not. there's a few pain specialists that have gotten onto the media saying it doesn't work here, even though there's so many studies. So I'm just asking everybody, how can I get involved? Please put my hand up in areas where I can possibly help others, like even a talkback show, I don't know, something or other where I can get the good word out and just share some of these studies and things. Oh yeah, there you go. For those folk who are interested in how to get to your RSOs, one of the fellas has done something there. Uses, oh yeah, that's okay. Hey, it's going to work though. Make sure you keep it on low when you do it. It can't get above 50 Celsius or about 140 Fahrenheit, because that's when CBG is volatilized and dopamine are volatilized off. So they're two important cannabinoids and terpene that you want to remain as well. So it's just a temperature thing. Yes, on low, very good. You get some slow cookers have 2 settings and some have 3. Mine has 3. It's just got a keep warm, a low and a high. And I find that the low is a little bit too high when I get my temperature gun onto it, but it still works all right. But just something to keep in mind when you get to do it, because I try to retain all the medicinal properties possible. But it's really good. It's, yeah. And for some reason too, the oil, it settles on the bottom. You get the black chunk. It'll after you do it, it'll just settle on the bottom. So it's pretty interesting how it just yeah. But it's such an asset. I use it to cook with. Yeah, I use it. It's great. And it's also very good as if you go on rations. And in Australia, most people will nearly be on rations because it's so hard to get anything quality. So the oil really helps too in those downtimes. So you can just have how you work out your judgment of it. So after you make up some, and you put it through your pillowcase and you filtered it back into your container, you're going, how strong is this? How do I make this into my cooking? Well, what I do, I get a tablespoon out, a teaspoon, which holds, oh God, I can't remember. If it holds 5 milliliters, no, it doesn't hold that much. Anyway, I'll take 2 mils in a spoon, and then it didn't work. So the next day, I'll take 3 mils, and I found that put me to sleep. So I knew, all right then. So I can't have 3 mils in a gummy or something like that, or something edible. I will, or just if I was to take it, I can have 2. So I just knew then, yeah, 2 is an effective dose for what I have. So it works really well, and it lasts a lot longer too than smoking it. Definitely lasts heaps longer for me. I can, I don't know. I like it when actually I'm not going to talk about that, but yeah, it's very effective also. And it stores rad. Oil stores brilliant. No real loss of terpene profiles like you have when it's just normal flour. So yeah, it's really good. Good medicine. And another reason why they don't want to be legal is it's going to knock out quite a few legal products on the market that are already here. And a lot of those products, they're so inactive, and you've got to have so much of them so regular for them to be effective. Where medical cannabis stuff, it's probably not as much because you can adjust your concentrations. All righto. What else can I talk about? What else would you like me to talk about? Oh, it's been going for an hour. This is great. Is there anything else you nice folk want me to talk about or to discuss or anything like that? I think today's topic can be renamed as, what do you think? Rename it as Australia's poor progression in medical cannabis. Australia's lack of education, that's a good word. Australia's lack of education in medical cannabis leads to poor numbers or declining status or something like that. These are my thoughts anyway. And their health benefits. It does work, Australia. You know this. There's probably, oh look, there's a cancer thing on that. Can I zoom in? No. Oh, what's the cancer? How can I see? I'll zoom on that because there was a cancer question. Anyway, it does help. I can, oh, actually, that's what I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back for you. Who was asking about the cancer? Aaron. Yes, because it's so important. I'd like to help out. I'm going to go back just before I end. I'm going to go back and look at the cancer one, mate. Share screen. Yeah, I'll just share. You can see what I'm looking at. You know, I'm trying to help. Week, no, lives. So I'm looking for, there's one here on health and cancer a while ago. Microbial genetics. Anti-cancer. Here it is. Look at this. Look, we're here. Here you go, mate. For those that wouldn't know, it's week 23. Oh, it's not related with the shows. Well, it was about, we're up to week 60 now. So it's 40 shows ago. If you want to go back, I will elaborate on all this stuff. Oh my, there's quite a few things on cancer. Righto. Opioid, no. 91 cannabinoids help pain, no. Here we go, the anti-cancer pathways. Please show up. Cannabinoids inhibit cell progression. Their cytokines show that in the chart down here below. Mechanisms independent. So that's just a chart that does activation. So as the cell comes down here, it gets going by various channels and it can die. It can come down here with the help of the cannabinoids and it can just arrest it and keep it at halt. And it can come down here with these different pathways through the cannabinoids and it can actually eat itself, eat the cancer cell, autophagy. There you go, there's one. Oh, there's the nice clearer version of it, which I should have probably, sorry about that, but anyway. What else? Cancer studies done with cannabinoids. Here's another one. So the objective of this study was to see the psychotoxic effects on cannabinoid mixtures. Righto. There's a cannabinoid mixtures, percentage of proliferation. Ah, so if you've got 0.1, I see. Here you go. This is going to help. So above 1 microgram or 1 milliliter, it's going to help to stop it dividing. There's the 50%. So you can see 2 milligrams. So I was talking on mixtures before about 250 micrograms. 250, yeah, per mil. Micrograms, 6 places, yes. ppm. Mixture. So there you go. There's one for that too. Is capsules are the most preferred medical dose that used for anti-cancer. Oh, this is a study. Oh, that's, yeah, that was a rad study. He had epilepsy in England, and a big LP started. What's it up top? This boy had 1,000 epileptic fits a month, and is now seizure free due to medical cannabis. But no, in Australia, it doesn't flame and work, does it? Bloody idiots. Can CB1 receptors... Oh, it's diabetes. No, we're interested in cancer today. No. There's a good jobs thing. See, look at this dosage. 1,000 milligrams. Oh, that's for the whole container. That wouldn't be per fingernail full. But still, if you divide it back, it's still a high amount. You're probably getting, you know, 10 milligrams per fingernail. Gummies, yeah. Cancer studies, come on. This is endocannabinoids, nope. Nope. Autoimmune disease, it helps, yes. Do you know that your cycle impacts cannabis tolerance? 12 females. Hey, for those folks who support, I really appreciate that because I get nothing from this. Canna jobs. That's it. Must have been when I started the Canna jobs thing. There's only one. But yeah, there's another little added little bit that helps with the cancer cells, mate. It shows you those 3 stages of them, how one eats itself, one halts itself, and one can continue its doubling and growing. Okay, I have the warm setting. I have the warm setting too and thought it was not hot enough. Oh, yeah. I think, well, mine goes low. Mine goes keep warm. So it's colder than the low. So that's, I've got my little temperature gun, you know, those little thermal, those infrared temperature gun things. That's how I can work out my temperature. So just leave it on that setting for, you know, 5 or 10 or 15, 20 minutes, and then temperature gun it. Then you'll know what your settings equal. Username, hello username. What is your ratio when you make coconut oil? Dave's got a pretty good thing underneath. You put coconut oil. Well, I don't use coconut oil. Coconut oil, a lot of people use that for cooking because it's got a higher smoke point. But if you have a look at the smoke point, it's like it's so high. When are you going to ever get things to that high? So you can use cheaper oil. And with me, I'm not real financial one bit. So extra virgin olive oil, home brand, is what I go with. I've used that for quite some time, and it's fine. And what I do is I'll get enough of green leaf material to cover the bottom of the pan of the cooker. I think I weigh it, is it 100 grams? Anyway, I put enough to cover the bottom of it, make sure it's enough to cover the bottom, and then I just put oil just over the top of that, just over the top, because I want mine to be very, very concentrated. So I try and make it as less oil as possible and more green leaf material. So you can put it on and you sort of pad the top like as if you're concreting, and it slurries up and it forms a mixture, and you can tell what sort of concentration you got that way. And then, so it's going to guarantee it's going to come out strong. And then you can always dilute it if it's too strong, but you can't do the opposite. Or you can probably boil it off, but how do you boil oil? I'm not a cook, so I don't know much about the cooking thing. I'm just telling you what I do for me. Yeah, I hope that helps. Dave says you need liquid coconut oil so it stays in a liquid form. Okay. There you go, username. I just use extra virgin olive oil. That's it. Righto. This has been good. Hope, Aaron, you got helped with your cells, your cancer cells. You can do a little bit of a study, mate, and come back in 6 months' time and tell us the good news. And then you can tell your GP when he laughed at you, you can nearly take him to court and say, my GP laughed at me when I was trying to help me. I would have nearly been dead now if it wasn't for this magical, wonderful medicinal plant. I'd like to sue him for a new house. Yes, guaranteed you're going to get the money. He should have done better. Have me as your judge. All right. Is there anything else anyone else would like to clarify, talk about? Anything? Next week, I've got some slides. So all these slides from this week, I've saved. Actually, well, a few of them have been released, but it was for a good point, I think. I'll show you next week's because there's quite a few. Because I've been saving them all up. Because I'm 3/4 of the way through my studies for this semester, so I'm very busy in that sense. No. Terps, it was genetics. Okay, genetics and all of these ones. Look at this one. Here you go, a bit of positiveness for you. No, that wasn't the flaming thing. There it is. Look at this. Hello. Hello. But look at the hands, not the face. Look at the hands, not the face. Oh, you say. Yes, we know what this person's job is. I've found too that those people that use gloves, the gloves just keep getting stuck to each other, but your hands, they build up a tolerance. And once it gets to this stickiness, they don't really stick much anymore because they stick to your hand. So it's that's the way I do it. You can see just around there is where it comes off. But in general, that's a lot though. I've never seen it like that. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's for next week's. A few screenshots. So I don't know what the theme is yet, so I'm still trying to, genetics was the theme actually, because I've got a few genetic things happening. But yeah, just waiting to see what else comes of it through the week, to see what stuff I can find to make for a cool show, an interesting show that I'm not repeating myself or, trying to keep it new and modern in medical cannabis, not discuss many things that's been discussed previously in my shows, because I'm a stickler for repeating myself. I don't like to repeat myself. Hey, no, you don't. No, you don't flame them. All right. Well, that's good. So, yeah, I'll rename this one to Shame on Australia. Actually, that's probably a good one. Shame on Australia. Going backwards with medical cannabis. There you go. I'm allowed to say that, aren't I? Yep, I reckon I can. Because it's the big pharma that's probably doing it more so. We all know it works. It's just sad anyway. I'm not going to repeat what I said earlier. Just sad. Thanks again. I appreciate everybody for coming in and asking all the questions and contributing in chat. It's really cool. Without you guys and girls, it wouldn't be much of a show. So thank you again. Thank you for the folks that's listening externally and you listen to this later on. I always put the live chat on. I tick that little button so you can go back if you watch the show on YouTube and not listen to it as a podcast. You can see all the questions that have come through at different stages and the people's names. Yeah, and I'll be here next week doing the same thing again, trying to get the good word across so that folk in Australia can spread the good word and the education levels will be lifted. So they're not on such a street mentality, and the powers that be can have more than a 4-hour course of medical cannabis to get some know-how into how well this plant can work with the human body, how our 6th body sense can be unlocked by it. Yeah, it's a symbiosis. We've got a body sense in it that these receptors work off. It's just amazing. Hey, look at Dave's nice words. Appreciate nice words like that because I don't get money, so thank you very much. Thank you for the few people that do contribute every now and then. It's great. I really do appreciate those words because without things like that, I probably wouldn't do it because money's not really paying. So, yeah, nice words. It goes a long way. So I really do like that sort of stuff because I try hard for you guys and girls to put on a good show. So next week's is genetics. I'm sure there'll be a few more because people think, oh, genetics, free genetics. Probably. Yeah. And they'll realise, no, he's not giving them away because he's not allowed to yet. But once I do, oh, it'll be on. Anyway, thanks again, everybody. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a great day or evening wherever you are. Happy breeding, happy growing, and good health to you all. Bye-bye.